Camilla, to start with, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and your career path?
Sure. So I am the head of Explore at Maersk Growth, and this is the team where we help Maersk become successful clients of startups. So we help implement and test new technology in a limited scope, and then potentially roll it out on a bigger scale in the instances where it makes sense. So before this, I actually had my very first job full-time at Maersk. I started as a MESA trainee in 1993 and stayed with the company until end of 1999. So I have been around before, and in the interim, since I rejoined 1 year ago in 2022. I have mainly worked in very large technology companies, mainly on the advisory and software development side of things, and always in leadership positions. So very happy to return here to help build a successful team that will support both sides of the table when it comes to the collaboration between startups and big corporates.
Okay, interesting. So why is it important to promote gender equality, especially in the sector innovation and technology?
So in technology, it is particularly important to promote diversity on all aspects, and today we talk about gender, and it is because, of course, technology is in all aspects of business and life in general, and just expanding even more in this. And the thing is that we don't see what happens behind the scenes. We don't see what developments, what AI, what machine learning lies behind the app that you're using, or the supply chain system that you're applying, or whatever. So in order to make sure that it accounts for all aspects, the technology itself, we need a great deal of diversity among the people that develop the technology. Otherwise, you might accidentally build in bias into the solutions. So in technology, it is particularly important for this reason.
So how can gender diversity boost the performance of a firm?
So, frankly, I'm getting a little tired that we always get this question, right? I think by now there is so much documentation and research showing that it will. So, of course, it's about critical thinking, it's about diversity in opinions, and it's about the results that it creates. So it is important on all aspects, from financial reports to also the holistic way that we want to develop our society and the world in general.
Okay, so what are the risks of not encouraging young women to pursue a career in innovation and technology?
Yeah, innovation and technology, in my opinion, is what drives development of our planet. And if we leave out half the population in this journey, then it's not going to be a very good fit for that half going forward. And the solutions in general, also for the male part of the population, are not going to be as well thought through and well-rounded if we have a very non-diverse group developing innovations and technology. So it is particularly important in this area.
So where do you see the biggest challenges for young women wishing to pursue a career in innovation and technology?
For young females wishing to pursue a career in innovation and technology, I think there are many challenges that are similar to other industries where you have a male dominance in one way or another. So it is being the odd one out. It's not being able to see other successful females that are maybe a little bit further in the career path than you are. It could be bias. It could even be harassment. I'm not saying it will happen everywhere, of course not. But these are some of the concerns when you go into an environment where there are not a lot of people that are similar to you. So very similar. And then, of course, there is the added complexity in technology and innovation of the importance that it has in our development of society in general, which is a big additional burden, I think, if you are the odd one out and you see things where you want to raise your hand and say, it's important that we consider this aspect and that aspect because of diversity and the conflicts that it might bring along if we develop it in the wrong direction. That can be a bit tricky if you're the only one seeing it in a team, and also in combination with being young. So I think these can be some additional dimensions to this dilemma of entering an industry like innovation and technology.
Mm-hmm. I think you've just touched upon it a little bit, but how important do you think is it for young women to have this strong role model for them?
So the importance for young women to have strong role models, I think, has been a little bit underestimated in my generation. I think it's fair to say that we had very few in the early years of my career, in the late 90s, early zeros, and at the time, you don't know what you don't have. But now that I see it being promoted actively and being exposed and sort of built upon, I see how great this would have been. So it's one of these things where you didn't know you needed an iPhone before you had one, right? Now that you have it, most of us can probably not imagine life without it. And I think it's in one way or another a bit similar, where it's something that should have been there all along, and it's not now, and it's so clear now why you need to see it to be it, which is, I think, a good way to say it. If you don't see anyone that feels like you, look like you, in a role that you could potentially strive for, then it's super difficult to figure a good path to that.
Yeah, definitely. So what were defining moments for you during your career path that maybe also helped you throughout your career?
So if I look back on my career and think about defining moments, I'm not sure there have been many. I think one very important decision I made was to actively shift my career a bit from ocean shipping, which is where it started. That was Maersk's identity, more or less, at the time that I worked here the first round in the late 90s, and kind of go into more of a technology path. And the reason this happened is because at the time, Maersk was on the beginning of the internet enablement journey, and I joined a couple of these projects from the business side of things, and I got super excited about the technology as an enabler, as a charger for new roads ahead, broadly speaking. So this was, of course, a very important decision on my part. So I think that's the one I'll bring out. But of course, there have been many important decisions along the way.
Okay, last question. So when you look back at your career path, or in your life, when you look back, what would you tell your younger self nowadays?
So when I was younger, before starting at Maersk the first time in mid-90s, I spent a lot of time thinking, what would I be? What should my plan be for my life? And I did that for many years to follow. And I think I should have told myself, it's okay that you don't have a plan. It's going to be fine, and there are going to be interesting opportunities along the way. And you don't need to plan everything out at this moment, because I did not know what I wanted to be, and I couldn't possibly have imagined where I am today in the early 1990s. How would I have known what the world would look like? And similar to this, young people today won't know what the world looks like 20 years later. So I think you can have areas of interest. You can probably, for me at least, more importantly, have areas that you feel you need to contribute to. It could be the climate, it could be more equality, it could be a lot of things. And if you kind of show up at work with something that's important to you on a bigger purpose, then I think it's all going to be fine. And I think I should have probably explained this to myself a little bit earlier.
Yeah, but it might help other young people nowadays.
Maybe, yeah. That would be nice.
Thank you so much for taking the time. It was super interesting and nice to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.